Welcome to the hub of analytics education, preparing students for the future, millions of records at a time. The hub of analytics education is located in Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Charlie Baymall, one of the co-founders of the hub of analytics education. The objectives for today's video are indexing and sorting tables, as well as filtering a table. The business intelligence tool that we're going to be using today is ACL. ACL is predominantly used by internal and external auditors as well as risk management professionals. You'll need to make sure you get your ACL license and download the sales file from the hub of analytics education. Let's get started. We're back open with ACL. And this is where we left off the last time with the December sales file already open. If you haven't imported the December sales file yet, please go back to video 1, importing data into ACL, and take care of that. In this video, we're talking about sorting, indexing, and filtering. Now, sorting and indexing are two different methods for sequentially ordering data in tables. And ordering data can be a useful analytic operation all by itself. But because computers process files in sequence, starting with the first record, sequentially ordering the data is a prerequisite for several analytical tests and other operations in ACL. Other ACL tests and operations may not require the ordered data, but they go much faster if the data is first sorted and indexed. If you have multiple table operations, such as multiple joins or relations, it may require the key fields to be sorted or indexed. So let's start with sorting. You can sort records into ascending or descending sequential order and output the results to a new physically reordered ACL table, basically replicating this but doing it in a different order. Outputting to an ACL table, and you have to include all the fields from the active table, even if you only sort on one field, is the only output option you have in sorting. So let's give it a try at sorting. So what we want to first do is go up here to Data and go to Sort. And we get our little sort box. So we want to click on Sort On. And why don't we sort on the inventory ID? That's a primary key for all of these particular data tables out of the Hub of Analytics Education. So we're going to sort on inventory ID. We're going to select that. And you see this little arrow here. That indicates that it's ascending order. Just click it on if you want descending order. We want ascending order, so we're going to leave it just like that. Click OK. You can also put a conditional in here. So maybe we only want to sort if store equals a certain value or something like that. But we don't want any conditionals on this. We just want to do a full sort of this entire data table. And we're going to have to put it into a new .fil file, and let's call it December Sales Sorted. Very simple. And that's all you have to do to sort. Now, this is going to take about 4 or 5 minutes, so we'll come right back to you as soon as it's done. All right, we're back. That took about a little over 4 minutes to process. Now, your processing time may be different than my processing time. I've got a pretty powerful computer, but I'm also saving all of my data to an external hard drive, which may be slowing down my processing time. So don't let my times, as I'm telling you, fool you that things should run as fast or as quick or as slowly as I'm suggesting. So now we have our new data set here, and it is physically, you can see it, we've got a brand new data set here. We got December sales, and we have December sales sorted, and it's sorted by inventory ID. Now you're looking at this inventory ID and saying, well, what's going on here, right? Why am I starting with 10? Remember, this is a this is a character field, inventory ID. And ASCII text characters sort in a very different way than numerically. So it's going to sort on your first character, then we'll sort on the second character, and so on in a particular order. So it's going to start with the 1 first, then it's going to move to the second character, which is 0. It treats all of the dashes the same way because they would be all the same, and so on and so forth. So that's how we get to the way it is sorting. And then when it gets to these characters out here, it's these characters, and it's the 1, and then all the zeros come first. So you can see there is a little bit of method to the way this is particularly sorting. All right, so that is sorting. Now let's talk about indexing. Indexing, we're going to index the exact same way here. So let's go back to December sales, and we're going to index December sales on inventory ID. Now, indexing, what it does, it creates a separate file. It's called a .inx file. When we just did the sort, that created the December sales sorted .fil file. So this creates a .inx file, and it allows access to records in an ACL table in a sequential order rather than the physical order. So indexing does not actually physically reorder the data in the tables, but it gives you access to the sequential order, right? So you can make these indexes active or inactive. So you're not just stuck. When I go back to December sales sorted, this is what I got. If I wanted to have this indexed on inventory ID and then maybe indexed on something else, well, I'd have to create a whole nother table. So let's see if we can create a simple index here. So we're going to go back up to data, index, and it looks very similar to our other box, only this is the index box, not the sort on box. So we're going to hit index on. We're going to index on the inventory ID, again, ascending or descending order. We're not going to exclude any particular observations in this processing. And now we're going to call this a specific index, and let's call it inventory ID. Makes sense. Let's call it inventory ID. So we're going to, and I can obviously index multiple things simultaneously. So if I was going to index inventory ID, then as my second level index would be sales date, I'd call this inventory ID by sales date. So I want to make sure that my index is descriptive enough so I know what I'm using it for. So I think we're all set here. We're going to hit OK. This is going to take about 40 seconds to a minute. So we'll get back to you as soon as it's done. Wow, that was actually very fast. That was around 30 to 40 seconds versus the 4+ minutes to do the sort. Now you can tell this is indexed by a couple of things. One, down here it says index records, and it tells you how many records are indexed. Also, if you go to this upper right-hand corner, it also tells you which index is live. And you can see this sort looks exactly the same as our December sales sorted. So let's kind of do a comparison here. Visually, it looks identical, right? So we can go back to December sales and, whoa, what happened? This doesn't look the same at all. What happens when you move out of a particular table that was indexed to something else and then back to that table, it automatically turns the index off. To turn that index back on, we'll go up here to the upper right-hand corner. You see where it says none, and down here it doesn't say indexed. We're going to click that on, and we're going to turn on inventory ID. Okay? And now we get back to our index. Now, you can see I had another index already built in here, sales dollars. I'm going to build that again because we're just going to build that again. And let's see, we're going to go to data, index. We're going to index on sales dollars because maybe I want to take a look at the ordering of my sales dollars. And I want to do descending order because I want to take a look at my high dollar stuff first versus at the bottom. Hit OK. Let's call it sales dollars. And hit OK. This is going to take a little bit of time to do. We'll be right back with you when it's done. And now we're back. That took no time at all. And now you can see everything is in total sales dollars with our most expensive sales dollars in a day at a store at the top in descending order. So this is a quick way of looking at your data to see what's going on as far as your kind of what you think are your biggest issues, your biggest sales dollars. And if I wanted to move from one index to the next, I can just go up here, move back to inventory ID, and now it's sorted by inventory ID, or I can get rid of both of the indexes. So that's a pretty good thing. Now, I want to point out that those were much faster than doing the December sales sorted, but I also want to point out one of the other big advantages. Let's open up where I've got all of these files saved. And what you can see is we've got the December sales file, and it's 2.7 gig of data. The December sales sorted file is exactly the same size. So every time you do a sort and save a brand new table, you are creating another big data set. And that takes up a lot of space. Now, if you've got ample space, who cares? But I like the idea. The indexing is a little bit more flexible. And as you can see, these .inx files, much, much smaller than the .fil files. So I can have multiple indexes attached to my December sales file and move between those indexes to do particular types of activities. So the other thing that you can do is you can take a look at your indexes the way you've set them up. So we're going to close this here. We're going to right click on the December sales. Here's the navigator window. We're going to right click on December sales and go to properties. And you can see we've got different table properties here that I want to take a look at, and I want to go to indexes. And so if I want to take a look at these different indexes, I can take a look at the details of what that index looks like, where it's saved, etc. The other thing I can do is if I don't want those indexes there, I can also delete them or rename them, or even copy them to maybe a different table. So this is another useful little tip to figure out what your table properties are and specifically what indexes are attached to this. Now the last thing we want to talk about is filtering, and there's two easy ways to filter. Up here in this little area, this is where you can put in filters. We're going to do a very simple filter. There's all sorts of different filters you can do. And all I want to look at is, I want to look at, say, one of my brands. And so let's look at the smallest brand number. Let's look at brand 58. So let's put in a filter that says brand equals 58. And I want to just take a look at how many and how much in sales brand 58 generates. So let's hit set the filter. And just like that, I've got all I need to know about brand 58. Now I can go in here and I can do some simple calculations such as analyze and count to get the count. And right down here, it'll do the count for me and tell me I've got 2,236 records related to brand 58. I want to also go up here and total a particular variable such as how many bottles I sold. So we can go to totals, sales quantity, and sales dollars. Maybe I want to take a look at both of those and get the quantity of brand 58 during the year across all of my stores. I can do that very quickly. So my total bottles are 3,446, and it was $43,000, 341 of sales. So I can quickly do some filtering and do some calculations. But this filter is temporary. What if I wanted to come back to this filter over and over again? Well, first let's remove that filter, and we're going to go over here and we're going to edit a view filter. We're just going to hit this little box. It's going to bring up an expression builder. And in here, what I want to do is I want to build a filter, and I want to keep the filter. So I want to look at store numbers that equal, a store number equals, say I want to look at store number, I don't know, let's say 56. I want to look at everything on 56. And I'm going to save this as store 56 filter, okay? I always like to verify, make sure my expression's okay. It looks like it's valid. I'm going to save it as store 56, and the filter will always show up here under store 56 if I ever want to go back to it. And we're going to apply it to December sales. Let's hit OK. And there's everything I need to know about store 56. Again, I can go in here, analyze, count, figure out how many records we've got. And I can quickly determine there's 158,000 records in store 56. I can take a look at what was my total sales, both from a quantity perspective and a sales dollars perspective, just so I can get an understanding about what's going on with store 56. Hit OK. Calculate that very quickly. So I've got $5 million worth of sales in store 56, and I sold 390,000 plus bottles. So filtering is pretty effective. So now if I wanted to get out of this particular filter, I can remove the filter, but I can always go back to it just by clicking on this and picking up one of my other filters that I have, including the ones that I typed in here. So it will save a lot of your filters if you wanted to. So that's a little bit about sorting, indexing, and filtering. I hope this was helpful. We'll see you again next time. Thanks for watching the Hub of Analytics Education video series. The Hub of Analytics Education provides open educational resources to educators around the globe, supporting both higher education and secondary education. For more information, please visit our website at hubae.org.